When you're tired of all the choices out there and you don't know what to do, you can kick back and watch Tall Guy Eric Reviews.
What is going on, guys? Tall Guy Eric here, back with another monitor review. Today we are reviewing the Sony Inzone M9. I've actually been wanting to try this monitor for a while now and see. I guess I can't say if it lived up to the hype because I've not heard the best things about this monitor. From what I have heard from other people on Reddit and reviews on like Best Buy and Amazon is basically if you get a good unit, it's a really good monitor. But if you don't, it does have a lot of quality control issues. However, most people seem to think that this particular monitor is not worth the $900 price tag, and that is what I'm going to tell you if I think it is worth today or not. So first of all, I just noticed that this is lopsided, and that's driving me crazy. I'll have to fix it after this video. Unfortunate. First of all, please excuse the messy desk. I do apologize. This is not the monitor I normally use on my desk. I do use an OLED monitor or an OLED TV as a monitor, so normally I have things in a different spot. I have cables hidden behind the TV. I just set this up for the past couple of days to use it, to put it through its paces, and to kind of give you guys an overall general of how I feel about the monitor and kind of compare it to some of the other latest monitors and even compare it to like, I guess, an OLED TV as a monitor. I'll go ahead and start off by saying that overall, aesthetically, the monitor is beautiful. Has very minimal bezel. Just, obviously it's a Sony right here. It is G-Sync compatible. The back is white, which I think is gorgeous. It has a ton of ports. It has two HDMI 2.1s. It has a display port 1.4. It has a display port it has a USB-C port that also functions as an alternate display port. I don't know exactly what the charging capacity of it is, but I know that it does support video over USB-C or Thunderbolt. And then you've got like your built-in media hub, so you can run USB devices through the monitor itself. So that's really cool. A few things I do want to touch and note on in terms of like the appearance of the monitor, just the actual functionality of the exterior of the monitor. I do not like the stand, and the general consensus seems to be that the stand is not very good. They went with kind of this like, again, I do apologize about all these cables and how they look. It's kind of awful, but it is what it is. But it's got like this V-shaped leg on the back and then this guy in the front. I know they did it because they wanted it to be different, but it takes up a lot of space. It's kind of awkward. And I don't know, it just functionally it's not great. It does look cool, and it's super cool that base looks just like a PlayStation 5. That is sick. But overall, I don't like it. I actually was going to use it with a VESA mount, but that brings me to my next point. So it is VESA 100 by 100 compatible. However, the square in which you would use the VESA mount for is so small that unless you have like a small, I have a VESA, like the attachment for a VESA mount laying around somewhere. Oh, 1 second. So, like this. I'm pretty sure this either would fit or it would barely not fit. Like, it is not very lenient at all. My monitor over to my left, my Dell monitor, my ultra wide, it actually has the monitor arm that I've been using with my OLED, and it was just too big. It wouldn't fit. So basically, prepare, if you're going to mount this monitor on a VESA mount, prepare to have to use standoffs, because that's what I had to do to make it work with the VESA mount. I didn't feel like going through that just to put it up. I actually have the standoff screws that I was using here. I did have the monitor mounted to my left on my OLED or on my ultra wide mount just to see how it worked and to find out that it's not very compatible. So there's that. Another thing, and this is in terms of the unboxing experience, this is a $900 monitor. It's still $900. I understand it does have a lot. It has a KVM switch, which is awesome. It has that USB-C port. It is not made technically by Sony. They did have a third party do it, but it is Sony's, like, it is their monitor, But in the box, you get a power brick, and that is it. Like, you don't get any cables whatsoever. You don't get a USB cable. You don't get a USB-C cable. You don't get a Thunderbolt or a DisplayPort cable. You don't get an HDMI cable. You don't get a single cable in the box other than the power brick. That is insane in a $900 monitor. I have bought $500 Gigabyte and Asus monitors and Acer monitors that come with like 2 HDMI, a DisplayPort cable, all that stuff. And this $900 monitor didn't come with any of that. That's wild to me. Excuse me. Sorry, I had a sneeze. Either it was working up or... Okay, yeah. Sorry, I had a sneeze coming, but it is gone. So, that I just gonna go ahead and start off with that. So let's get into picture quality, and... That's interesting. Why is my mouse not working? Oh, there we go. So let's get into picture quality and the OSD. So prior to this last 6 months, because I've been cycling through monitors, doing reviews, and just trying to find my perfect monitor, I did use the LG GN and GP950 for around 2 years. Like, during that period, I think I switched monitors one time, but I used them forefront. Like, even when I switched monitors, I still had the GN or the GP as a secondary monitor or in use of some form. So I used that for about 2 years, and I absolutely love that monitor. This is very comparable in terms of picture quality. I think they might use the same panel. Sony didn't come out and say that it uses LG's Nano IPS panel, but I would be shocked if it didn't. Colors are very similar. The insane, beautiful picture quality is the same. Like, this has one of the best looking pictures on a monitor I've ever seen. Just period. Like, I'll go ahead and say that. Let's take a look at the OSD real quick. So on the back of the monitor, you do have a joystick and you have a power button. Then we have the actual OSD itself. You do get a lot of different options, and I love that. You've got your picture mode, you've got your gaming assist. I didn't really mess with any of those. You've got your picture adjustment, which is awesome. You have every possible adjustment known to man. I am using this with local dimming on high. You've got your inputs, and you can see there's a ton. You've got both HDMI, DisplayPort, USB-C, which is DisplayPort alt mode. It has auto select, which is awesome, but it doesn't work very well, and I can actually show you guys what I mean in just a second. And then I don't know what control for HDMI is, and then you also have your DisplayPort version. I don't see a reason why you wouldn't just leave it on 1.4. You have your USB hub, which has your 2 KVM switches, which is awesome. You have your USB charge. You have audio. It does have speakers. They're not great, but they do work. I'll play a video in a second. You've got your LED functions, and then your OSD menu, and then you have your others functionality. It does list software version, but I was not able to find any software updates on Sony's website, so they haven't updated any of the issues that I've seen people having. And that's where I'll go ahead and touch base now. I have seen a lot of people say that they have some issues with the DisplayPort where it will randomly just like not show the DisplayPort and it'll cycle through the inputs, and that's actually going to get to a point that I'm going to come across in just a second. And then I have seen some people say that like the monitor will just kind of turn off and not turn back on. I haven't had those issues, but something to be aware of. As I said earlier, most of the people said if you get a good unit, you do get a pretty phenomenal monitor. I did get, from what I've seen, a perfect monitor. No dead pixels, no anything. So that's, super fortunate. The backlighting seems to work fine. I didn't notice like the banding on the white screens like a lot of people have mentioned. But it does have some issues. And I think that these issues, in my opinion, make it not worth the $900 that they're asking. So the first issue is, I understand it's only 96 zones for the full array backlighting, but at $900, that's currently It's $200 less than the G7 Odyssey Neo, and in my opinion, that overall is just a significantly better monitor. Um, Samsung has their quality issues, and unfortunately, you have to go through Samsung if you want that monitor. But I've had two G7 units, and they were both perfect. If I were to go back to using a standard monitor, the G7 Neo is probably what I would go back to because I think that monitor is incredible. But the HDR is significantly better. The backlighting is better. The HDR in this monitor it's just, in my opinion, it's awful. I don't think it's a very good experience. You can't adjust the settings. It gets bright, but it doesn't look very good. And that does contribute to A, not being able to adjust your settings, and B, that full array backlighting is just not very good. If I'm being honest, I don't think I'm going to be able to get it to show in video. You can probably see in the video like the haloing around this, but let me turn the lights off and see if it shows a little better. I don't know how well that's portraying in the video, but there's actually a YouTube video. Let me pull that up real quick. What is it called? I think it's just full array test. Yeah, so I'm gonna put this on full screen and see if it shows in the video at all. Unfortunately, it's actually not really portraying in the video. In the video, it looks totally fine, so that's unfortunate. But it's not good. Like, there is a ton of haloing here in this text. There's a ton of haloing around the square. There's like anywhere there's anything, there is a significant amount of haloing. And now I get that is because it is a 92 zone full array backlight. It's not mini LED, and it's not the 500 to 1,000 plus that the high end monitors have. But the problem is it's priced at what the high end monitors are. So that mixed with the HDR performance, for me, it kills me thinking that this monitor is worth $900. Now, if it were $600 or, even the same price as the GP950B, I think it would be a much better purchase than that any day. I think it would be worth it at that price. But for $900, I do not think that this monitor is worth it. I would save my money for a better monitor, maybe get an OLED while they're on sale, which is what I personally have done. But for the $900 that they're asking for this monitor, I would avoid it, especially considering a lot of people have had issues. And even though I haven't had those issues, there are too many people saying that they have to kind of ignore it. And then the last thing that I want to touch base on in this video, because I feel like I've covered all the grounds of everything else, and hopefully I can get it to show the issue, but I do want to show you guys that the auto input issue, it is very frustrating. And personally, I probably would turn auto input off because of how this works. Now, I will say this is not the first monitor that I've had that auto input works like this, but it is the first almost $1,000 monitor that I've had that works like this. So I turned my PlayStation 5 on. I'm going to put this to sleep. So you see it says scanning for signal at the top, and you can actually see the blooming here. So it's going to scan for signal, and instead of switching automatically to HDMI 1, it will cycle through each different input, as you can see there, which it might be on HDMI 2 instead of 1, I don't know. But it'll cycle through the inputs, say no whatever connected, and just continuously cycle until it gets to the correct input, which is HDMI 2. So in a second, my PlayStation 5 should turn on. It did, and it wants to teach me. And that's another thing. Every time I've turned my PlayStation on, it has asked me to adjust HDR. You probably can't see it well in the video, but this thing is bright. Like, HDR is very bright. It's just not very vivid, and I do not think that the HDR experience is nearly as good as you would get on like a mini LED monitor, or not even close to an OLED monitor. It's funny because the video is actually making it look better than it actually is. It's kind of making it a little more oversaturated. But yeah, I kind of touched on everything I want to talk about. I personally wouldn't spend the money on this monitor. It's very cool. It has a beautiful picture, but if you're paying that money for the HDR experience, if you're paying it for the full array backlighting, I would go with the Samsung, or I would wait until something better comes out. I feel like Sony definitely got some stuff right with their first foray into modern monitors, but this just has too many issues to justify being a $900, almost $1,000 monitor. But that is going to be it for me. I appreciate you guys watching the video. If you liked, please give me a like, give me a comment, subscribe. Let me know what monitors you guys might want to see in the future. And that's going to be it. Have a great day, guys.
When you're tired of all the choices out there and you don't